Hey, Drifting Sand Exoticals. Have you ever felt bad about your privilege in society? Felt guilty for being born or living in a first world country? After traveling, studying, or living abroad and seeing the issues others face? Does this hold you back from using your socioeconomic privilege to get ahead? Are you wasting all your energy thinking about the world's inequity? We need to talk about privilege, not in the way you're used to hearing it, but in a way that might just shift your entire mindset. Because the way you're looking at privilege could be the very thing that's holding you back. There's this guy. He moved abroad to teach English, and he feels guilty. Guilty that he's using his passport privilege. Guilty that he's paying off his student loans thanks to a lower cost of living in China. Meanwhile, students in China have free and low-cost university education. Even medical school costs only a few $1,000s a year, and healthcare completely covered. Yet, in the US, the average cost of attendance at a public university is over $27,000 per year. And we haven't even talked about the interest on student loans, the insane cost of healthcare, or the fact that many Americans are working multiple jobs just to survive. So why does this guy feel bad for making smart choices with the hand he was dealt? Because while he's feeling guilty, others who got free or low-cost education, subsidized healthcare, and government support have no debt. They can then take their qualifications to higher-paying countries, save money, and either return home to live like kings or continue thriving elsewhere. Let's break this down further. Some countries have low or even no income tax under certain salaries. For example, in Egypt, you don't pay taxes under $12,000, but the average salary is $100 a month. So those making more can keep everything. Many of the so-called third world countries have a luxury Americans don't have: time. They may earn less, but they don't have to grind at multiple jobs just to exist. They have time with their families, social services, and safety nets that Americans don't. In some places, there's no interest rate system, which means no credit cards, no student loans. But in the US, if your parents won't support you and you don't have perfect grades, getting an education can feel impossible. Sometimes the only option is the military, something that might go against your morals. Meanwhile, in many third world countries, basic health care is a given. Public, college, free or low cost. Maternity leave paid for a few months. Maybe you've idealized other developed countries with social services. Maybe you've dreamed of moving to a country where everyone pays taxes and has basic social services. But let's not ignore the downside of those who know exactly how to use the system. For example, in the UK, many people I've met abroad have talked about those that take advantage of the welfare system and then move to cheaper countries to live better off of taxpayers' money. Let me tell you a story about a woman. Let's call her Sarah, where I saw the extreme of this situation. Sarah retired at 45, but not because she worked tirelessly for decades, not because she built a business, and not because she sacrificed everything for financial freedom. No, Sarah retired thanks to government benefits. She got her education completely free in the UK at this time. No student loans, no financial struggle. Then she left. She lived overseas for years, saving money, taking advantage of the low housing prices in a developing country. She secured property before returning home, setting herself up for a comfortable future. Sarah had a tough childhood. Trauma, addiction, setbacks. She went back to the UK to deal with her addiction to alcohol, but after working in a public institution for 15 years, she relapsed over time and found a way to live off benefits due to mental illness at the age of 45. No longer required to work, no longer expected to contribute, Now she lives off government support, doing nothing, not helping herself, not helping others. But here's the thing. She's able-bodied, intelligent, and fully capable of rebuilding her life. She could use her struggles to fuel something greater. She could help others, volunteer, or even just pick up the phone to be there for someone with her free schedule. But she doesn't. Instead, she continues to live off the system and spends her time drinking while waiting to fly back to her retirement home to have more dispensable money. Property that she'll eventually give to her son, building generational wealth. This story isn't really about Sarah. This is a story about how unfair life is, about how some people take advantage while others feel guilty for doing the bare minimum to improve their own lives. Meanwhile, there are people breaking their backs, afraid to work smarter instead of harder, afraid to use legal loopholes to better their lives because they think it's wrong, and instead break themselves trying to do the right thing. The truth is, life isn't fair, so stop feeling bad for playing the game. If you can leverage opportunities to make your life easier, take them. Because I promise you, Sarah's not losing sleep over your struggles, so why should you? Then you have people in developing countries who work online for companies in wealthier countries. They were privileged enough to learn English, got remote jobs, and now make double, triple, or even more their home country's average salary. Yet some still complain they can't live in the US or any other Western country on that income. But they don't have student loans, medical debt, or high cost of living. They have privilege too, just a different kind. And passport privilege. Sure, Westerners can enter many places without applying for a visa in advance. But staying long term, that's another story. Countries have strict rules for a reason. Here's the truth. Stop looking at other countries as either better or worse, or life in other places as better or worse. Privilege is not a one-size-fits-all concept. We all have different advantages and disadvantages in life. And if you've spent too long fixating on the struggles of others, if you've let guilt keep you from seizing opportunities, let this be your wake-up call. Because here's what people won't tell you. The ones constantly making you feel guilty, they wouldn't trade places with you if they knew your struggles. They really want their privilege and yours because they know that's how they get ahead. If you keep centering your life around economic inequality or doing the right thing, you will move forward so slowly that you'll never get anywhere. There are so many people who didn't let their inequalities stop them. They focused on what they did have, they leveraged it and gained even more, even in so-called disadvantaged places. If they had fixated on their disadvantages, they would have never gotten where they are today, like everyone else that was around them and didn't believe in them. So stop envying others. Stop obsessing over what you don't have and stop feeling guilty for the privilege you do have. Become the person you are jealous of. Empathize with yourself the way you empathize with others. See your own struggles, see your own privileges, and use it to win. And I just wanted to add, of course, there are many exceptions to the examples I discussed, and there are many places where there is inequality, but this is for those that have seen this firsthand, maybe in their family, community, or their family abroad. And for those that are constantly made to feel guilty for having more opportunities due to their multicultural background or their multicultural life. Anyways, if you are half this, half that, this is your reminder that you're still 100% that girl.